So, Bruchim Habaim, Bruchot Habaot. My goodness, there's 16 of us tonight. Nice. Means actually 18 because
you have to translate what you just said.
Is Heshi and David, and Stephanie is Stephanie, and
Jeff.
Stephanie. There's two of you though. Okay. All right. And plus we have Katie and Wesley and Jackie. So Bruchim Habaim, welcome to everyone. And the challenge always is for me to get to see everyone. So I'm going to try and do that. And that will also help when our wonderful Ned is putting things up, because then I can still see you. That's the challenge here. So since I think there's some people here who don't know each other, which is so beautiful. Oh, and Chip and Henry, maybe. I'm Sue, and I'm really happy to see you all. And I'm speaking to you from my home office, and it is dark now, but by the time we finish not tonight, but as we study together across the spring, it's going to be lighter and lighter when we begin and then when we end. So, the days are longer and giving us more time to be outside. God willing, it's going to even get warm. I always feel this in January, like, oh yeah, we're going to get to have long walks in comfort very soon, and God willing, we will. And who knows, it's been, I think everyone has seen some snow in the last few weeks, even if it was only for 5 minutes. So let's just introduce ourselves, and just, you can say something about anything, because some of us have been very isolated. Some of us have been very, very busy going to work every day. So I'm going to call on you because I can see everyone's face. So even if I don't see your face right now, I will call on you because you're here. So I'm going to start with Muriel. So just, say something about what brings you to this.
I'm Muriel, and I'm always happy to study with Rabbi Elwell. And I just feel like I have a whole history with her parents and etc. And that's why I'm here. And I like learning Torah.
Great. Thank you, Muriel. Heshi and David, you're next on my screen, so I'm just going to welcome you to introduce yourselves.
Hi, everybody. I'm Heshi Zinman. I'm the co-chair of PRISM, the folks who are bringing you Sue Levi Elwell, Rabbi Elwell, and we really appreciate that you're here. Tell your friends. Tell your friends.
And I'm David. I like to study Torah, and I like Sue's interesting perspective on it.
Thank you. Steve Merman.
Well, I'm Steve Merman. I began studying with Torah Queeries a number of years ago at Beth Ahava and was fascinated. And I'm delighted to be back doing that and with your tutelage.
Baruch haba, welcome. Ellen.
Hi, I'm Ellen Poster. I'm so excited to be studying with you, Rabbi, and learning Torah through a queer lens. So thank you.
Welcome. Eve.
Hi, everyone. I'm Eve. Looking forward to studying tonight, and I'm also learning Hebrew, which is new for me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Rachel.
Hi, I'm Rachel Dougherty. I have gone to RS for a really long time, but didn't go to Torah study until the fall, and I really enjoyed this session, so I brought a friend.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, and you're the friend, Danny. So I'm going to go to Danny next. He's Rachel's friend.
Thank you, Rabbi. My name is Danny Shapiro. I am Rachel's friend and coworker. I'm new to Philadelphia as of within the last year and brand new to the RS community. So I'm grateful to be here and excited to learn with you.
Wonderful. So it's been very challenging for folks who have moved to new cities during the pandemic. So when we see each other on Zoom, it's always like, oh, welcome. I can't wait to have you come to my house. I was thinking about Hesh and I are old friends. And I was thinking, so when can Heshi and David come for dinner? And then I thought, Sue, just cool it. It's going to be a while. All right, Susan Bear, you're next.
Hello. I've enjoyed the Torah Queeries studies that we've done so far and always like to learn, and you are a good teacher, so I'm back.
Thank you. Thank you. Fred.
Hi, Rabbi. Hi, folks. I've been involved with RS for a long time, but have not been very involved with Torah study. But I'm very interested in Jewish mysticism and the connection to Torah study. And I'm particularly interested in seeing the Torah through a queer lens. I'm also an artist and hoping to get some inspiration in my work as we talk about the Torah.
Yay. Thank you. Wesley.
Hi, I'm Wesley. I'm sort of like taking the Introduction to Judaism class. I'm so new to Judaism and to Torah as well, and I'm just excited to learn with everyone.
Yay, welcome. So Wesley, I am winnowing out my bookshelf, and I was hoping there'd be someone who is brand new, who might want some of my books. So I'm going to communicate with you. All right, you know, this is one of the wonderful things about being the people of the book. Well, sometimes it gets to be a little too many. You're looking at one of the few bookshelves where they're not falling out and falling on me. So next we have Stephanie.
Well, actually, it's Jeffrey. Stephanie will be joining shortly.
But you can.
But I can speak on.
I want puppy dog. Okay.
And that's our dog. Sorry about that. Hello, everyone. Sue, it's always a pleasure, whether it's to study with you. You've always been so supportive of the BA community and of RS and beyond, and have helped us personally, both Stephanie and I. So we thank you for that. And it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, welcome, welcome. Hector, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm Hector, and I tried actually going to the larger Torah study, and there are a little bit too many people for me. So I like being in this group, and I like seeing all of you every couple of weeks.
Oh, good, good. Welcome back. Chip and Henry. Chip,
I'm
you
Chip.
start.
Okay, I'm Chip and Henry, and I'm a lifelong member of Rhoda Sholem and a member of the board of Rhoda Sholem and a past member of Beth Ahava. And I've been doing, since the pandemic started, I've been doing the Saturday morning Torah study and like doing this as a community within a community.
Wonderful.
And I'm married to a board member. Why are you doing this? Because I enjoy it.
Well, that's, you know, now that we have the second husband, I love that, sitting in the White House, a nice Jewish man. You know, those who are the, well, BA. So Wesley, since you're new to the community, and Danny also, I'm just gonna have a little quick word about RS and BA. So RS is Road of Sholem, which is the beautiful synagogue on Broad Street that I hope we will all be gathering in again by Yontif, but Miodea, who knows? And it's one of the oldest synagogues in the country. And in fact, my great-grandparents got married there. I don't have it here. Maybe I'll bring it next time, but I have a Kiddush cup that my great-grandfather was given because he was a member of the choir. And when he and my great-grandmother, these are people I never got to meet because they passed away before I was born, but they got married at Road of Sholem in 1880. and they received 2 Kiddush cups with an engraving on it that has the name of the synagogue, not spelled the way we spell it now, but the year 1880. Then, and now someone's going to help me with the year. BA, one of the oldest LGBT congregations in the country, was founded in Philadelphia in, who knows?
1975.
Thank you, 1975. And what was the year that it became part of RS?
2006, and somewhere along there before that, we affiliated with the Reform Movement, which
right
somewhere
in the 90s, I think we did that.
Yeah,
Early
and that
90s.
was thanks to my beloved colleague Richard Address. He was very excited to bring Beth Ahava into the Reform Movement under the wings of the Reform Movement. And then I was really honored. I was the regional director after Rabbi Richard Address, which meant that I worked with all of the Reform synagogues in a 5-state area, but particularly in Philadelphia, because I live here and my heart is here. And we saw the opportunity for Road of Shalom to really follow its heart. And there were many people in the Road of Shalom community who were really ready to say, please come be part of us. And like the feminist movement, we've all kind of figured out that we need to figure out, when to be part of the larger world and how to transform the larger world so that all of us feel comfortable. So this is a really wonderful coming together of 2 communities, the larger Road of Shalom, where there already were gay and lesbian members. I don't know how aware they were of trans members, but trans members are always present. We're just not always as visible. And so these 2 communities together have been studying together, learning together. The fact that Chip is on the board, and I don't think that they look at you and say, oh yeah, he's the BA guy on the board. Rather, he's a full-fledged board member and representing the interests of all the members of the congregation, and helping members who weren't so engaged or aware or knowledgeable about our community. That's been the work of BA over these years. So I don't want to neglect the 3-4 folks who haven't spoken yet. So Frances, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm also new to Philly and new to Road of Shalom. I moved here from Atlanta in October, and so I've been looking for community and looking to reconnect with my Judaism, and so I'm also part of the Intro to Judaism group.
Oh, great. Welcome, Frances. Marilyn.
Yeah, hi, I'm Marilyn, and I'm, as always, delighted to be here, and it's good to see you.
Thank you. Katie.
Hi, like Wesley and Frances, I'm in the Intro to Judaism course. I'm completely new to both Judaism and RS, so I figured I'm trying to kind of get involved with as many things as I can so I can learn. So this seems like it's going to be a wonderful group. Thank you.
Great. Welcome. Oh, I'm thrilled to have the 3 of you in with all these other awesome people. Jackie, we can't see your face. Can we hear your voice?
Jackie put in the chat.
She doesn't have a mic. Yeah.
No mic or camera yet.
Oh, all right. Well, Jackie, if as long as she can hear us.
Chat. Can everybody see it? Can I read it? Can I
Sure,
read
please
Jackie
do.
wrote in the chat. She says, hi, everyone. This is Jackie. I don't have a microphone or camera yet, but we'll work on getting this for future weeks. Happy to see a few faces from Saturday Torah study and to continue Torah study with this group.
Great. Welcome, Jackie. Even though we can't see you or hear you yet. We Jews are very good in the not yet department. So welcome. We are starting this week with the fact that we've gathered together. I honestly did not do this on purpose. I just chose this date. I knew I needed to get some other things done in January. And it's one of the most important and essential Torah portions in the whole Torah, because this is the Torah portion where we come out of Egypt. So it's a core part of being Jewish is this story of the Exodus. And as you all know, it's not just Jews who have embraced and celebrated and lifted up the Exodus from slavery to freedom, but the Exodus is an essential part of African-American history, and the songs that were sung by enslaved people and the narrative that enabled folks to keep their spirits up in the absolutely worst conditions. These African folks who were brought over to America in chains and then subjected to totally, truly inhuman behaviors. And here we are in 2021 still reckoning, some of us for the first time. We could have a really rich discussion about how many of us did or didn't really learn about American slavery when we were in school. The older ones of us, really, it wasn't part of our teaching. It was taught, but it was sloughed over. And we also may have been unfortunate to be in classrooms with only white teachers and with only other students who were white, and no sense of diversity at all, and of the rich diversity that makes America great. So here's this story that is in the Hebrew Bible, and that's what Jews usually call, what others call the Old Testament, because for us, there is no New Testament. There are other wisdom books from other traditions, including what is called the Christian Bible. But we don't feel that ours is old or outdated. Rather, it's the Hebrew Bible and has these rich, rich stories. And as our three wonderful folks, Francis and Katie and Wesley, are learning in their class, we make our way through the 5 books of Moses every year. Just the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible. And we read the portions year after year after year. And what's really miraculous is that these narratives continue to challenge us and change us and open the doors of our hearts and our minds every time we go back. And I've been privileged to be a rabbi. I've lost track of how many years, but I was ordained in 1986. And and of course I was studying even before that, but the stories still delight me. And I'm surprised at what I find. And that's part of why I feel so honored to be able to teach and to be with you. It's not that I'm teaching, I'm opening up the text for your eyes, whether it's for the first time or the first time this year. So the name of this portion, so each book, each of the 5 books is divided up into portions. And these divisions were made by the rabbis. I would have to check the years when, but a very long time ago. And these divisions are honored really across the world. So in world Jewry, all Jews are reading the same portion every week. And the portions are pretty long. So different synagogues, some read the whole thing and some read a third of the portion, but they'll be reading a third of the same portion that the synagogue next door is reading the whole thing. That's called a Triennial Cycle. So, and some of you in this room are very familiar with this, so you'll just put up with my explanation. So those synagogues, I believe, including RS, that are on a Triennial Cycle, are going to be reading the whole Torah every 3 years. But they will keep, these synagogues all keep to the same schedule. So you can look on any Jewish calendar, and those of you, many of you have one at home. I've become pretty much dependent on the one on my phone, that I can look up and see what is the Torah portion this week, and it will tell me exactly, it will tell me the name of the portion. there are lots of apps that will tell you this, and some of them are free and some of them don't cost very much. You pay $4.95 once. And they'll tell you other things like what time the sun goes down and when we begin Shabbat and when Shabbat ends, and all kinds of other information. So that way you can find out where are we in the Torah portion, in the Torah reading. And they're also the movement to which, as Jeffrey mentioned, the BA joined and RS was already a part of the Reform movement, has several wonderful websites that have lots of information like this. And you can go on those websites and there are Divrei Torah stories and analyses and teachings about the Torah every week. I had the honor of writing them one year. I felt like I did nothing but write Torah portions for the Reform website. But they're by rabbis and cantors and others all over the country and actually all over the world. So you get to have lots of different viewpoints. And there is so much online now. I mean, you can spend your whole week reading Torah commentary, and from all points of view, not just Reform, but it's so rich right now. It's almost a little overwhelming. So I was fortunate to listen to one of my amazing teachers, Yitz Greenberg, read a Devar Torah today. As I was doing something else, I got to listen to him. And also, of course, thinking about, oh, there's so much to say. And here we are, it's already 6:26. So I want to get into our text. One thing before we look at the text, I do want to hold up two books. So this is a book that I was honored to be able to contribute to, and I will be mentioning it and quoting it. It's a book that was printed in England and I didn't know the folks who put it together. It's called The Queer Bible Commentary, and it includes both the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament. And I love the beautiful drawing on the cover. Does it say what it is? Cover image, Perpetua and Felicitas, by Brother Robert Lentz, courtesy of Trinity Stores. So I don't know who these teachers and wise women are, but anyway, it's Perpetua and Felicitas. So anyway, lots of really interesting essays in this book. And then this is an American collection called Torah Queeries. And I think some of you have actually, you either own this book or you've taken other classes where this book was used and you read the different essays in this book. So this book is Torah portion by Torah portion, the way we're doing our work. I also was fortunate to contribute to this one. The other book is by book of the Bible. So it's, you know, it's a somewhat different approach. So these are two books that I'm going to be using for my background to prepare for you. And the other thing is, especially for the 3-4 new people in the class, I do encourage you to have a copy of the Torah at home to use for this class, especially for the 3 of you in the introduction class. I have some extra books at my house and I'm going to really work out. So you might all get at least one book and of the Torah to have. And I'm going to put stuff up online. So the other thing you should know is that there is a website called Sefaria, Sefaria, and that is often, I will send you there or I will use quotes that I have gleaned from there. And I now realize that the Torah blessing, I forgot about it. Do you happen to have it?
I just happen to have it.
No.
I do.
Awesome. So
I'm a
our
step ahead of
wonderful
you.
Ned. Okay. So
See,
Ned, this is how we begin.
Where did I put it now?
With a blessing, he's going to look for it. And see, it takes many minds to get this right.
Okay. Let me see.
So those of you who have attended the Torah study class that the rabbis lead at RS know that we always begin with some words of thanks to God for enabling us to study Torah together. And you're making it nice and big. And so we can say this together. So let's just spend a moment centering ourselves and preparing ourselves to study Torah together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. And you can unmute and we'll say the English together, even though it'll be a little cacophonous, we'll at least get to hear each other's voices. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to engage with words of Torah. Thank you very much, Ned. And now I'm going to ask you, Ned, to bring up the text sheet that I sent you.
Okay. One moment. Is it there?
That's it. Great. Okay. So this is the beginning of our Torah portion. As I put at the top here, it's Exodus chapter 13, verse 17 through verse 17, 16. So the very beginning of the verse. I would love to have a reader. Fred, would you be willing to read the English of those first two verses, verse 17 and 18?
Sure. Now when Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them by way of the land of the Philistines, although it was nearer, for God said, the people may have a change of heart when they see war and return to Egypt. And the next verse is, so God led the people round about by way of the wilderness at the Sea of Reeds. Now the Israelites went up armed out of the land of Egypt.
So we are indeed coming into, I don't want to say the middle of the story. It's the beginning in some ways, but it's also the middle. I mean, we have now been enslaved for 40 years. We have, this was after we read the amazing, in the book of Genesis, the story of Joseph and his brothers and how Joseph became second to the Pharaoh in Egypt and saved the country with his vision, his ability to interpret dreams. And then there came a king who knew not Joseph. And in the first couple of chapters of, oh, sorry, I just lost, a book just fell on the floor, but I'm picking it up. Need a bigger table. In the first few chapters of Exodus, of course, we have the birth of Moses, who has become our leader. And many of you know the story well. One of the reasons that I particularly love this story is that we have, from the beginning, we have 5 strong women. And after reading a very deeply patriarchal narrative for the book of Genesis, even though there are wonderful women who we meet along the way, the Moses birth story brings women right to the fore. His mother, Yocheved, his sister, Miriam, the two midwives, Shifra and Puah, who save his life. And then, well, I'll let you guys talk. Someone chime in. Who is the 5th woman who saves Moses's life and enables him to become the leader of the Jewish people.
Did the Pharaoh's daughter?
Pharaoh's daughter. And thank you. So Pharaoh's daughter, who is unnamed in the Torah, but the rabbis decide she needs a name. And so they name her Batya. And Batya means Bat, daughter of. Yah is one of God's names. So she is the daughter of God because she saves Moses, but also the Egyptians, of course, thought of Pharaoh as their God. So I love this story about how the rabbis say, you know, she was a righteous woman who took care of this baby, knowing that he was an Israelite. But that's a couple weeks ago, and now we're here, and Moses has overcome his speech impediment and his fear of leadership and is leading the people out. And God, when God speaks here, God is speaking to Moses. And I wanted to just begin with these two verses, just because the whole idea of not taking the straightest path seemed very resonant to me, about how some of us have had to make big circles in our lives to get where we need to go, that we couldn't go straight away, that we needed to avoid. In this case, God is worried that they'll be frightened by war, but that often the straightest line is not the best way to go to move ahead and to make a difference in our lives. I'd be really delighted if someone would love to speak up here and either give an example from your own life or tell how you're encountering these lines for the first time tonight. I can't see the raised hand. Maybe Ned will if someone raises a hand and I can't see. Fred.
Hi. So for me, I really definitely connect with this message. I grew up as a queer kid in Cleveland, Ohio, and went to college right near Cleveland. And I knew for me to sort of fully be myself, I moved to New York City and basically came out of the closet and felt like I couldn't do that in my original home. I've actually never really returned to my original home. I've just developed new home concepts. So for me, I feel like I was enslaved in a lot of ways back in Ohio, but I was able to to escape out of that enslavement by moving to New York City in 1986.
Wow. Wow, the year I was ordained.
Yep.
Anyone else want to raise their hand? Ned, do you see anybody that I don't see? So we can move on, although there's plenty to ponder here. So there is so much in this Torah portion, and we have agreed that this class will be 1 hour because we're all so busy. And so in the next 22 minutes, we're going to take a look at what for many is the high point of this Torah portion, which is Shirat Hayam. And I'm actually jumping ahead here because they're in verse 14, chapter 14. As you see, I've skipped here from 13 to 15. Chapter 15 is a narrative version of the coming out of Egypt and the splitting of the sea in prose. 31 verses that really tell the story. And then it is complemented by another 22 verses starting in chapter 15 of poetry. And especially this week, I guess it's last week already, a week ago, tomorrow, many of us had the opportunity to hear both prose and poetry at the inauguration of President Biden. Just even saying that makes me happy. And the poem that was recited by the amazing young Amanda Gorman was such a wonderful compliment to the prose that President Biden had delivered, the talk that he delivered, the charge that he delivered to all of us to unite and move our nation ahead after 4 years of, for many of us, real heartbreak and invisibility and pain. And so what I love about this Torah portion is that we have the same model that actually kind of predates what happened last week of having the narrative first and then the complement in the poetry. So if we had more time, we would look at the narrative. I'm going to send you all back to take a look at chapter 14, but in chapter 15, we have this amazing song. So Susan, I'm going to actually ask you to please read these 3 first verses.
Okay. Then Moses and the Israelites sang this song to the Lord. They sang, I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. Horse and driver he has hurled into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my might. He has become my deliverance. This is my God, and I will enshrine him, the God of my father, and I will exalt him. The Lord, the warrior, Lord is his name.
Thank you. So obviously, and I got this translation right off the web. It is all the God is masculine here. We can have some really good discussions about the challenges of Hebrew, which doesn't have a they in the same way that English does, that everything is very binary and narrow, but feminists and many people sitting around the table today, so to speak, have been wrestling with this language for years. And I could have brought this to you, and maybe in the future, I'll have more time and be able to say, then Moses and the Israelites sang this song to the Holy One. They said, I will sing to the Holy One, for God has triumphed gloriously. Horse and driver, horse and rider, it's often translated, God has hurled into the sea. So I don't want the masculine pronouns to distract us too terribly, because that really is something we can talk about another time. And I've been working on this for decades. And I want to acknowledge the challenge of verse 3. So Adonai ish milchama could be translated Adonai. So you can all see this. And Hebrew is read from right to left. So the first word in verse 3 is Yud He Vav He. Actually, I bet that Ned could point to it. I mean, I am, but you can't see mine, right? So Ned, can you just point to the Yud He Vav He? Yes, thank you. So that first word, Yud He Vav He, is God's name. And Yud He Vav He, these are all breath sounds. It's essentially an unpronounceable word. And my teacher and colleague, Arthur Wasco, says that this shows that God's name is breath. So here, the source of breath, Yahweh. Some people misunderstand it and call it Yahweh because the first letter, the letters together could be wrongly interpreted to spell Yahweh, but it's really in Hebrew unpronounceable. So we Jews say Adonai for this. That's how we pronounce it. So the Holy One, our God, the one whose name is beyond names. Ish milchama. Ish means man. So we could say the Holy One is a person of war or a warrior. And then Adonai, it's repeated, the second last word. Thank you, Ned. Shmo. And many of you know Shema means listen, but the word Shem means name. So God, who is a warrior, holiness, Adonai, Holy One, is God's name. So I want to, and I don't want to get too distracted about from this, but the idea that God is a warrior, and this story is a story that actually delights my 9-year-old grandson, because, oh my gosh, the bad guys are being thrown into the sea and they're drowning. And that's exactly what my 9-year-old grandson loves. And we too want often to see some kind of violent retribution to those we consider our enemies, but it's a hard story. Why do some people have to die in order for others to come to liberation? So you see, we've got lots of seeds that can be planted into very wonderful discussions for us, especially as queer folks who want a story of liberation and don't want that story to be with others drowning. So I want to move on to the rest of this page. So we have this wonderful long liberation song of coming through the sea, and it ends with these 2 verses. And let's see, Katie, could you read these for us?
Sure. Then Miriam the prophetess, Aaron's sister, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her and danced with the timbrels. And Miriam chanted for them, "Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. Horse and driver he has hurled into the sea."
So the question becomes, is this Moses' song or Miriam's song? And one of my teachers this week said it's very clear that the whole song is Miriam's and was attributed to Moses later. So we have this amazing song. I'm sorry about my phone. It will stop in a minute. And what I'd like to do now is to talk more about the song. So this song, this whole song of liberation is such at the core of our Jewish story, and I believe our complicated and rich story that each of us, Fred shared his story, but we could spend hours sharing our own stories. What has it meant for us to live in a world where we've been invisible as LGBT people, as folks who are LGBT friends and allies, however we've walked our story of not being able to be fully seen in the world, and knowing also that this story is incomplete and has challenges. I want to just read something that Rebecca Alpert, who is my friend and colleague, local teacher, wrote in this queer Bible commentary that I mentioned. She wrote the essay on Exodus, and she writes, "The themes, actors, and values present in Exodus have much to say to the trans, les, bi gay community." I don't even know how to say trans, les, bi, gay, whatever, our community. The main themes of the book, Exodus and liberation, subversion and rebellion, wandering in the wilderness, and a communal response to revelation, speak powerfully to us. But she also says that we need to be careful, because whether we want to ask whether it is fair for God to use the poor and oppressed as tools to educate the world, which is part of this narrative. So I wanted to share that. I also want to make a quick nod, even though I really want to play the music for you, to the really wonderful essay in this book by Jay Michelson, who talks about the fact that the coming out of Egypt for our people was turning our back on a religion of death, the religion of Mitzrayim, the religion of the Egyptians, and turning towards life. So that the coming out is the very beginning of the Jewish story, and it's coming in to choosing life. And how do we Jews choose life? How do we keep this Exodus narrative at the forefront? Well, it's incorporated into daily services. Every morning, this song is sung. So now I would like help from my buddy Ned, and we're going to play a very short part of the traditional chanting that is done every single morning. And this particular version is by a woman cantor, and it shows how the verses look in the Torah.
Do you want to take a question from Heshi and David?
Oh, yes, well, you're bringing that up. Please, Heshi and David. Question,
so
please.
You just said what you just described in terms of coming out of Egypt. I was thinking, most of us who were in the closet feels like we were living a death, and coming out gives you the freedom to be authentic, and to breathe, and to be able to breathe and have that, I guess the burden of denial and the burden of living in the closet lifted from your soul. And it's a beautiful thing to come out and have that liberation.
It is. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I have 3 things from YouTube. The trick of YouTube is to make sure we're not ending up watching an ad. So actually, this is the last one.
Let me start here.
This is the 3rd one. Yeah, this is the one I want.
Shirat, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
אז ישיר משה ובני ישראל את השירה הזאת לאדוני ויאמרו לאמור השירה לאדוני כי גאו גאו סוס ורוכבו רמה וים
Okay, you can cut it here. This is just the first few lines. Okay, thank you. I know that's frustrating, but you did get to see the way there's poetry in the Torah, that the poetry is written almost like waves or like steps. So the next time you take a look at a Torah scroll, just know this is the only poem that's written like that in the entire Torah. So when the Torah is unrolled, and sometimes we used to, and God willing, we will in the future, unroll the entire Torah as Simchas Torah, when there's enough people to fill the whole sanctuary. And the person who gets to be the one who looks down and sees that they're at the Shirat Hayam, this story, this beautiful piece, and any cantor or someone who knows how to chant that the way this beautiful cantor just did can sing it for us. Of course, you can sing the whole Torah, but there is this is a special tune just for Shirat Hayam. So there are 2 modern versions of this coming through the sea that I wanted to conclude with. One is one that was written by Debbie Friedman, and if you would bring that up, Ned, I don't think we'll have time we might be able to listen to the whole thing. I think it's only about 5 minutes, maybe it's less, but Debbie Friedman was an amazing, amazing soul, and she passed away 10 years ago. And we're about to celebrate, actually this week, her 10th yahrzeit. So this was made the year that she died. So she wrote this song, and you see how awesome she looks.
Once they got across the other side, she picked up her timbrel in her hand. And the women dancing with their timbrels.
was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one which sang our history. With every thread and every strand she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances toward the light. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang a song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. As Miriam stood upon the shores and gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she seemed to behold. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass the freedom and march to the promised land. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. The prophet took her timbrel in her hand. All the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice with song. She sang with praise and might. We just lived through a miracle. We're going to dance tonight. And the women dancing with their timbrel followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced all night long. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang a song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced all night long.
All right, cut, please.
To the rhythm of I Like.
All right, so this was this was clearly a concert in Boston because I recognized a lot of the people, even though it's 10 years ago. And just think all those kids are now in college or out. So there's one more that I wanted to share with you. It's pretty short. It's written by Batya Levine, and this is a performance that was done by the Philadelphia Interfaith Choir. So I am perhaps taking a leap, but I really wanted us to that liberation continues and that we're part of it. So Ned, if you would play the final. The song is called We Rise, but I really felt like this is the message and we're still living it. So I just found this today and I hope it'll work for us. We Rise by Batya Levine.
In hope, in prayer.
Katie, goodbye.
Ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here. In hope, in prayer. We find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here.
We rise, humbly hearted rise. We won't be divided, rise. With spirit to guide us, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here. And we rise,
rise up tonight with a greater ready. Let us stand with a greater determination. Let us move on. In these powerful days, these days of challenge, to make America what it ought to be. We have an opportunity to make America a better nation. I want to thank God.
So we conclude with our city and with rising and with singing a song. I hope to God for liberation, for coming through. And I hope I've raised more questions than answers tonight. That's part of what we do. And I'll look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. Those of you who would want to stay for another 10 minutes or so with any Q&A, and I understand that, of course, people may need to say goodnight. So if you want to talk for a few minutes, I can now see everyone. And that little reaction thing is where we raise hands and then it works. So down at the bottom of the screen. And I want to thank Ned very much for really wonderful help tonight.
Thank you, Ned.
So,
you're welcome.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, with the light as always.
Thank you.
Thank you.
did any of you see yourselves in that last video? Were you there? Anyone part of that choir?
We were at City, the Liberty Bell down in Independence Mall for that last picture. It was quite moving. You know, solidarity to be with people who have similar core values as yourself.
Good. Anyone else? Okay, so actually I'm going to ask Wesley and Francis to stay on, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about books just for a minute.
Good night.
Thank
you, everybody.
very much. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Rabbi. That was awesome. Nice seeing everybody.
Thank you.
Arthur
Take care.
Wasco from the Shalom Center.
Pardon?
Is Arthur Wasco?
Yes, yes. Arthur Wasco's from the Shalom Center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So you're taking the class, Wesley and Francis, at RS, right?
Yep.
So, so do you each have a copy of the Torah? Would you like one? Thank you very much, Ned.
Good night.
Because seriously, my mom had a lot of books and she's passed away, and I want them to find good homes.
Okay.
So I could give you each one, and you can come and pick it up at my house, or we could figure it out. I live in Center City. So do you need a copy of the Torah?
I live in Center City.
All right, good.
And I'm in University City, so it's easy enough for me to get there.
Okay, so so I'm going to give you each a copy of the Torah. I'm not exactly sure which one I have for you, but I'm pretty sure I have 3. So was Katie the 3rd person in the class? Yeah. So you tell her. So when would be, I'm actually going to leave town tomorrow, but I could leave it. I mean, if you can come tomorrow, I can leave it on my step for you. Or actually, I have a glass door. You know, I have a regular door, and then I have a storm door that I could leave it in an envelope for you. So you could come pick it up. I think it would be best if you could come by the end of the week, since I'm going away. But I can leave the books in a bag for you if you can get here. So I'll tell you where I live, and you can come.
Yeah. I would just have to figure out, so, I mean, I work pretty late some nights, so I don't know when I could stop by. I could try to stop by, I guess, either Thursday or Friday, but tomorrow I
Okay.
wouldn't be able to.
Well, it could be any time because I won't be here.
Yeah.
And so that's fine. I wish I could tell you I could drop it off, but I'm really pretty smashed. And what about you, Wesley?
Oh, I'm off tomorrow, so I can make any time tomorrow really work. I'm just
great.
From like 12 to 3, but other than that, I'm
okay. Terrific. So so I'm gonna write down your names and I'll write it on the envelope and you'll come and get these and this will be great. All right. So this is where I live. I live on Pemberton, which is a small street it's 2 blocks south of South. And I live between 18th and 19th. So I'm just south of Graduate Hospital, if you know where that is. Does this sound at all familiar? Okay. How about you, Francis? Where are you?
So I live at 42 South 15th Street, so I'm right by City Hall.
Oh, all right. So this is an easy walk over. You don't need a car or anything. And as I said, I'll just stick it in the door. So
you sure it wouldn't get stolen?
I don't think so, because it'll be in an envelope, and the only, I feel my lovely neighbors, I have a neighbor who kind of keeps an eye on the place when I'm not here, so I will let him know that I'm sticking a book, and that, the one thing is that the mail person puts the mail in there, but I think if they saw an envelope, they would, and your name would be on it. So it clearly wouldn't be to be mailed. I think we'll be okay. If you can get here by Thursday, it's only one day, if you can get here by Thursday or Friday. So you can come at night or you can come whenever. So, you know what, just in case, I'm going to take down your telephone numbers so that this way, if there's any change. So, Wes, what is yours?
It's 541-360.
541
360
Uh-huh.
2636.
Okay. And Francis?
631
Mhm.
816 3200.
Okay, and I'm going to give you mine just in case. It's I can put it in the chat, but I can tell you it's easier. 215-620-0150.
Great. What's the house number?
Oh, the house, I didn't tell you. It's 1815 Pemberton Street. And so it's 2 blocks south of South and 1 block north of, I'm tired, Fitzwater.
Yeah.
Between 18th and 19th. It's a little street. So that's why my neighbor can keep his eye, and I'll just let him know. I travel a lot, so that that sounds ridiculous in the pandemic, but my best friend lives in Baltimore and I'm going back and forth there. So great. So I've taught this class many times and loved it always. It's always such a privilege to get to teach. And so are the 2 rabbis pretty much splitting it up?
It looks like it based on the syllabus, yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. So which rabbi have you met so far?
Oh gosh, her name
Rabbi Maderer is the woman?
Rabbi Maderer, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say they had us go around and introduce everyone, so I feel everyone's a blur to me.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a blur.
Huh. How many people are in the class?
We're like 45, right?
Oh my goodness.
It
That's
was a big group.
huge.
It took like
Yikes.
an hour for us to get around.
Whoa. Oh my goodness. I should call Jill and say, it sounds like you need 2 classes. Wow. Wow. She's wonderful. I mean, I think I'm very prejudiced. I think she's great. And Eli is also full of energy and great. Did you meet him too, Rabbi Friedman, or not yet?
I have for the Young Torah Studies that he does.
Okay, good, good.
On for
So.
the like tomorrow's class, I think, is with Rabbi Friedman. So
yeah.
Oh, right, and it's on Zoom.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, life is on Zoom, and we're just all pining away for. I mean, I realize that I work with students who are in the seminary at my seminary in New York, and that I met a student today for the 3rd time. We've never been in the same room. I mean, I've never seen her in real life, and I mean, it's been great and it works, but it's like, whoa, it's so weird, So you don't know, is someone 6 feet tall? Is someone 4'1"? Not that it matters, it doesn't, but some of us are better at getting our energy out, and others of us are just like, oh. So anyway, I'm not going to keep you any longer, but if you have any questions, you have my phone number, and you can, or you could drop me a note. I'll put in the chat my, because it's still working, I think. Yeah. This is my name is one of my emails. Oh, my A isn't working. Oh. It's gmail.com. So it's my name, Sue Levi Elwell at gmail.com. There it is. Okay. Oh my goodness. Our current RS president is a gay man. Okay. I didn't know that. So good. So thank you for coming, and I'd love to see you in 2 weeks, but in any case, you're going to have a book by then.
Thank you so much for leading the class and for the book. I'm really excited. So.
Oh, good. All right. And you know what, honestly, because I am winnowing down my library, there may be more for you coming in the future. All right. Good to meet you both, and take care, and really welcome however your journey leads you. I will just say that years ago, when we had a separate Beth Ahava, a separate gay synagogue, my beloved rabbi friend, Rabbi Richard Address, said, it's time to have an introduction to Judaism class at the gay synagogue, because there were people who were gay who didn't want to come to a regular, to a bigger synagogue. And I taught a class there, and in the class were 2 men who were not partners. They were just really, really good friends. And they had lost a mutual friend. It had been a really horrible young death. Someone died of cancer. And they were really searching because they had had this bad loss. And one was Protestant and one was Catholic. And it became clear that the Catholic wasn't going to convert to Judaism. He just wanted some comfort along the way, and we became friends. I became friends with both of them, and it was a wonderful thing. Neither of them converted to Judaism, but I remained friends with the one who stayed in Philly. The other one went on and got his doctorate and became a professor, the Catholic one. But we made this great connection because, it's people looking for not necessarily answers, but for some comfort. And I really believe that all traditions, if we can find the right door, have a place for us. And of course, I think Judaism is a really wonderful place to land. So I have a box of books that I'm going to take to the post office tomorrow for one of my students who was just ordained as a rabbi last year. And she converted to Judaism about 15 years ago, and then decided she wanted to be a rabbi. And she's very, very smart. and spent 2 years in Israel learning Hebrew, and then came back to the States to finish her rabbinic training. And she's now a rabbi. She's a chaplain in a hospital. And so she came from, one of her parents was Jewish when she was growing up, but they never went to a synagogue or anything. And she didn't have any Jewish background. So people come from all paths, many, many paths to Judaism. And always the question is this the right path for me? And so I hope that you'll both have a time for discernment and discovery and delight. And the one really bad thing about not being able to meet in person is that food is such an important part of being Jewish, and we don't get to share the food, to say nothing of just the hanging out that people do in a class. And you're all on a similar path of discovery, and you don't even get to meet each other in person. So I really hope. I just actually got a text during class that my daughter got her vaccine today. So maybe we all get vaccinated so we can play together. All right. Good night, guys. There'll be books waiting for you here.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.